According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, in 2023 there were nearly 10 million job openings in America. At first glance, that sounds like great news, doesn't it? But when you actually look at the percentage of positions that ended up hiring someone, it was below 0.5%. And this was the same year when Goldman Sachs predicted that 300 million jobs could be lost because of AI. For a while, it looked like everyone, everywhere was hiring, yet almost everyone was struggling to land a job. These were called ghost jobs. Now fast forward to 2026, job listings themselves have started to drop sharply. While ghost jobs still exist, competition is even higher, and AI has entered the equation as well.
I applied to 647 roles before I got one.
Employees are taking pay cuts in huge numbers.
Nobody will even give me an interview.
AI adoption is rising across the board, and the job market is shifting with it.
Basically, I'm not able to get a job.
I really don't understand how people are finding full-time jobs. I really don't get it.
Welcome to Career Seekers Network, and today we will be talking about how the job market is worse than they're saying. It takes a lot of effort, time, and heart to bring these videos for you, so kindly hit that subscribe button. If you were a company in the 1980s trying to hire a few new employees, your options were extremely limited. Small companies usually recruited through in-person events, word of mouth, or physical leaflets posted to boards. It was a slow and lengthy process, and most of the time there were only a handful of applicants to choose from. The final decision largely depended on the judgment of the person conducting the interview. Larger companies had slightly more tools at their disposal. Because of their size and reputation, they could get a foot on the door at colleges or high schools and hoover up applications that way. But even that approach was still slow, limited, and required a lot of effort. Now fast forward to the 2020s, and the entire process has completely transformed. A company just needs to write a hiring post, click publish, and within moments the inbox starts filling up with resumes and people eager to join the company. Applicants experience the same convenience as well. They no longer need to travel, stand in long lines, or scan newspapers to find job listings. And because applying for a job is now just a single click away, many applicants think, why apply for one job when you can apply for 50? But that convenience has also made things worse. The same pattern can be seen in dating. Modern technology has globalized the pool of competition. Finding a job or a partner used to be far more personal, often depending on the impression you made on the person sitting across from you. Now it has largely become a numbers game. How you fill out an application form or design your Tinder profile can have more impact than almost anything else. Because companies suddenly have access to thousands of candidates, it creates the illusion that they can set extremely high standards. In reality, though, the situation on the ground hasn't changed much. The result has been devastating for the job market. The hiring process has become far more dehumanizing, with applicants increasingly reduced to nothing more than numbers on a spreadsheet. Today, the problem for companies has completely reversed. Instead of struggling to find enough qualified applicants, they now get hundreds or thousands more than they need. In a perfect world, companies would invest more time and effort into reviewing these applications. But as we all know, that hasn't really happened. Instead, many have turned to one of the most frustrating and dehumanizing aspects of the modern job market: automated rejection systems. Today, over 97% of Fortune 500 companies use what's referred to as an ATS, an applicant tracking system. The basic idea is simple. An ATS works like a CV filter, automatically removing applications that don't match the requirements set by the employer. And if that wasn't enough, there are also ghost jobs creating a false sense of hope in our minds. In a recent survey of 1,000 hiring managers, 68% admitted they've left job postings active for more than 30 days after hiring. But why do companies do this? Most of the time, the real intention is to shift the extra workload onto an existing employee while making it appear as if they genuinely tried to hire someone new. And in today's world, posting a job opening takes almost no effort. It's literally just a click. The longer a listing stays online, the greater the chance they might attract that perfect, almost mythical candidate they've been hoping for. Another reason might be that the current employees will wonder who's getting replaced and work harder to avoid it. In reality, there are countless reasons why companies end up doing something like this. And if all of that wasn't enough, now we also have artificial intelligence entering the picture. In 2023, Goldman Sachs predicted that we'll lose 300 million jobs due to AI, and we are already beginning to see the early signs of that shift. Right now, the jobs being hit the hardest are entry-level positions. These were traditionally the starting point for millions of people entering the workforce. Before, the companies used pyramid model with more entry jobs, but now they've switched to diamond model. Instead of having a large base of junior employees, companies are focusing on a smaller number of highly skilled workers supported by technology. The CEO of Anthropic, Dario Amodei, also warned that AI could eliminate half of all entry-level white-collar jobs. Industries like technology and finance are already feeling the impact, as fewer companies are willing to hire inexperienced candidates. Right now, AI still makes mistakes, but that may not remain the case forever. In the near future, one supervisor working alongside an AI system could potentially handle the workload that once required 20 people. By 2026, companies are also becoming far more cautious about hiring. At the same time, employees are less likely to quit their existing jobs. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump's cost-cutting efforts have led to the elimination of several government positions and cuts across agencies, nonprofits, and public health programs. On top of that, uncertainty around global trade and tariffs has created what many describe as a low-hiring, low-firing environment. Companies aren't necessarily panicking, but they also aren't bringing new talent either. In essence, it's employment freeze. And from their perspective, why take a risk on inexperienced workers when they often take time to learn on the job? So when people say the job market is strong, the reality many job seekers experience tells a very different story. Millions of job listings may still exist on paper, but a large number of them are ghost postings. Automated filters reject resumes before a human ever sees them, and the competition for every real position has become overwhelming. What once used to be a personal process between an applicant and an employer has now turned into a digital numbers game where thousands of candidates compete for attention from algorithms. So, what does this actually mean for you? First, applying online should not be your only strategy. It's the most competitive channel, and it gives you the lowest chance of getting noticed. When you apply online, you're entering a pool of hundreds, sometimes thousands of applicants. And as I mentioned earlier, recruiters are realistically only reviewing a small percentage of those. So if you're relying only on applications, you're competing in the hardest possible way. Instead, you need to be more targeted. That means focusing on fewer roles, applying intentionally, and pairing your application with some form of outreach. Whether that's connecting with someone at the company, reaching out to a recruiter, or finding a way to get your name in front of a decision maker. Because the goal is not just to apply, the goal is to be seen. Second, your resume has to be extremely clear and results-focused. Most resumes I see are not bad, they're just unclear. They list responsibilities instead of outcomes, and they don't make it obvious what impact the person actually had. Recruiters are scanning resumes quickly. If I can't understand within a few seconds what you do, the level you operate at, and the value you bring, I'm moving on to the next applicant. So your resume needs to answer 3 questions immediately. What do you do? What have you achieved? And how does that relate to the role you're applying for? If those answers aren't obvious, your resume is getting skipped, even if you're qualified. Third, you need visibility. Because in this market, the candidates getting interviews are not always the most qualified. They're the most visible and the easiest to understand. Visibility can come from multiple places. It can come from referrals. It can come from having a strong LinkedIn presence. It can come from being recommended by someone internally, or even from recruiters finding you directly. But if no one knows who you are, you're relying entirely on the most competitive channel, which is applying online. And that's where most people get stuck. So instead of thinking, how many jobs can I apply to? Start thinking, how can I position myself so the right people can find me or recognize me? Because that shift alone changes how you approach your entire job search. And finally, you need to be intentional. Right now, a lot of people are applying to everything and hoping something sticks. But in this market, that approach works against you. You're better off targeting specific roles, tailoring your resume to those roles, and aligning your experience with what those companies are actually looking for. Because hiring today is less about volume and more about alignment. The rules of the job market haven't disappeared. They've changed. And once you understand how the system actually works, you can stop playing the numbers game and start positioning yourself strategically within it. That's exactly why we built CareerSeekersNetwork.com, a platform designed to help people navigate this new reality, learn the right strategies, and position themselves for real opportunities. If landing your dream job feels harder than ever, Career Seekers Network is here to help you find your way forward. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to click the bell icon.